Hey, what's up guys? Brad with Squared Away every day, and today we're going to be talking about should you pick up that new Tesla Model Y standard range when it actually hits the market. Now, this is the new 4680 variant out of Giga, Texas. We'll be talking about the new features, if it's really that much better than the Model Y long range, which already exists, and the Model Y Performance, which already exists. Is it a better buy over those two, and is it really worth the change out of either of those two vehicles? We'll be talking about it here. If you like this kind of content, please go ahead and give me a like, give me a sub, and let's hop into it. Okay, so for starters, if you already own a Tesla Model Y long range or a Tesla Model Y Performance, do I think you should go ahead and upgrade to the Tesla Model Y standard range? And the answer is no. No, I do not. Although I think the standard range is obviously the most updated Model Y you could buy, I don't think that it's a better buy than the long range or the Performance, specifically because if you already own one, you probably got it before the most recent price increases, which were around $3,000 for both the long range and the Performance. And so in that case, you got a good deal on those, and I don't see any reason for you to go ahead and switch to the standard range. Now, the standard range, who is it actually for? Well, this is supposed to be for people to get into the market on the Model Y at a cheaper target. Now, here's the deal. The standard range Model Y is really coming in just under $60,000. So it's $59,990. That's about a $3,000 difference from the long range. And so is the $3, if you're somebody who's about to come into the market of Tesla and you're looking at picking up a Model Y, is it worth it to go ahead and just pick up the standard range or to pick up the long range? What's going to be the deal here? Now, a caveat here is I'm somebody who, when I'm going to go buy something new, I research all the different models and I try to figure out what's going to be best for me. And I always figure it out, and it's always typically the most expensive model because I just don't want to have buyer's remorse. I don't want to go and buy the more expensive model, you know, sooner down the road and have to sell the other thing. That's just how I am. I just am like that. But in this particular instance, I would say you should go ahead and buy the standard range if you're looking at a long range or a standard range Model Y. When the standard range comes available, I would buy the standard range. Now, the standard range has a range of 279 miles, whereas the long range is sporting 330 miles in range. Now, here's the difference. The big difference is going to be, allegedly, we can possibly charge up the 4680 battery all the way up to 100%, frequently without a severe degradation in the battery's health and life. Whereas on the current 2170 long range variant, we're really only supposed to be charging that guy up to 90% max continuously and frequently. And so really that's going to leave you with a 10% drop in your actual battery range. So we're not getting 330 miles. We're getting more like just under 300 miles is really what we're getting there. So when we look at the standard range, and we've got a range of 279 miles there, well, we're not too far off. We're about 20-ish miles off of matching the long range. Now, the standard range is also all-wheel drive, just like the long range is, which is really, really nice because when the original standard range Model Y came out, there was about an $8,000 difference from the standard range to the long range, and it was rear wheel drive. So that's nice that we have an all-wheel drive variant now. We have 279 miles of range on a battery that we can probably, I don't know for sure yet, charge up to 100% and actually get that full 279 miles out of it. Now, on future chargers, the charging curve is going to be different in the sense that you can charge these batteries up quicker, which is going to mean that you don't have to be sitting charging your car as long. So in my personal opinion, I would be leaning more towards the standard range variant just off of that alone, that we have a range that's real close to the long range. We have a more sophisticated battery that's going to have the ability to charge it quicker in the future. And so that right there is a big win, and it's all-wheel drive. So that is awesome. And then of course we're going to be able to save $3,000 as compared to the Model Y long range, which is a huge plus in itself. $3,000, that's great. And then of course, let's talk about the speed. Now we're not buying a long range or a standard range for the speed, but let's do a quick comparison here. The speed on the current Model Y long range does a 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, whereas the new Model Y standard range is sporting a 0 to 60 time of 5 seconds. So relatively almost exactly the same 0 to 60 times, so there's not much of a benefit there. And now we keep getting people saying on social media that there's no sort of weight decrease in the new 4680s, and I don't know how that could even be possible. Now, the big question was, why did Tesla come out with the new 4680 variant with such a small amount of range? And really what they did was they just throttled back on the amount of batteries that they put into that battery pack, and the car was already going to be lighter inherently, so we have to have a weight savings of 300, maybe 400 pounds minimum on this new vehicle. So that would mean that the driving dynamics, the driving characteristics, the handling of the vehicle is going to be much better than the already existing Model Y long range and the Model Y performance. And so, in my opinion, the weight savings is probably going to increase the drivability of the vehicle quite a bit. So we've got a $60,000 to $63,000 price difference there. We've got just a very negligible 0.2 of a second 0 to 60 time difference. We have the ability to charge up to 100% without consistently without significant degradation to the battery. And so this is all looking like a win to me personally. Is it as cheap as people wanted it to be? No, it's certainly not. And is that going to be a problem for most people? No, I don't think so. It would have been nice, obviously, if that was cheaper, but the reality is Tesla is a business and they got to make that money back on all the R&D they did on their 4680s. Now, to this point, the Tesla Model Y standard range is not available to the general public. They released the standard range model and they didn't really say what it was. There's no actual specs on it at this point, other than the EPA's website where they have that Tesla listed with the range that we're talking about and all this good stuff. So currently, about roughly 20 of these have been delivered to Tesla employees, and so they're probably doing somewhat of a beta test on their employees first to see how it handles real world and problems they're going to run into before they actually unveil it to the general public. So again, if it was me in the market right this second and I was between the long range or just waiting for the standard range to come out, I would personally pick the standard range. If you're able to get in early on that standard range order, you may be getting that car way sooner than the long range. I think the long range is pushed out to like 2023 at this point. And so if you're able to get in real quick on the Model Y standard range, you'll be getting that vehicle quicker and it'll be the most updated version of the car at this point. And I think specs wise, there are some good advantages over it. Range isn't going to be anything huge in terms of the daily use. We're talking 20 miles of range and the daily use difference. And so for me, 2 thumbs up. I would definitely go ahead and pick that guy up. And that's all I've got for you guys today. If you like this kind of content, please go ahead and give me a like, give me a sub, and we'll see you in the next one.